Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to be reviewing the new Juvia's Place Rebel collection. I have all 4 palettes with me and I'm going to be showing you guys the swatches, and of course I'll be doing one look with each one of these palettes to show you the types of looks that you can achieve with them and how they look on the eyes. I'm super excited to get into it. These little quads retail for $10 each, and I'm glad that I was able to get them all to show you guys how they look. If you're new to my channel, my name is Patty and I love doing makeup reviews and tutorials, so please don't leave without subscribing. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Juvia's Place came out with the Rebel quads around 2 weeks ago, but it took 1 week to get to my house, and last week was a little hard for me, so I was just not in the mindset. So I'm excited to finally be reviewing these products for you. Let me show you what the inside of the palettes look like and the swatches. First, the Rebel Mint. It says that the mint is the ultimate palette to warm up dark eyes and make light eyes scream with fierceness. And these palettes are all going to be vegan and cruelty free. Here are the swatches of the mint palette. I absolutely love this one because it has 2 different depths in the matte. It has a lighter minty shade and a teal shade that is just a little bit deeper. I also love that it has a super light mint shade that you can use on your inner corner or the center of the eyelid. And so I feel like this palette is kind of well rounded and you can do a couple different looks with it, of course within this mint color story. Then we have the Rebel Honey eyeshadow palette. It says be honey sweet with this warm toned honey eyeshadow palette that's part of the Rebel collection, vegan and cruelty free. It has warm ambers and sweet brown tones for the ultimate pick me up. It contains matte and shimmery shades, and it is suitable for all occasions with high impact, long lasting colors. Here are the swatches of the honey palette. As you can see, both of the matte yellow shades on my skin tone look pretty similar to one another. They have a little bit of a difference in the undertone, but they look very similar. And then I do love that bronzy gold and the deeper shade, but the other 2 are just too close. I feel like for a palette that has only 4 shades, they should all be different. Then we have the Rebel Grace eyeshadow palette. It is the ultimate cool toned eyeshadow palette and it serves up the perfect shades of gray for all skin tones. It says that it sets up beautifully on brown skin tones without looking cold, and it highlights the whites of your eyes like no other shades can. Here are the swatches of this Grace palette. I absolutely love the silver shimmers that this palette has. And the first color swatch looks like a satin light gray shade, but I tried to use it as my transition. You guys will see later on during the tutorial, and it's actually quite shimmery. So this one only has 1 matte shade, and I do really love that you can really blend it out or deepen it up to your preferred level of depth. Last but not least, we have the Rebel Army palette. It says utility meets fabulous. It has easy to wear green shades for every day. It's not only long lasting and vegan, but also high impact and high pigment to show up beautifully on all complexions. Okay, here are the 4 shades for the Army palette. In this one, what I'm missing is a transition shade, but hopefully I can sheer that green off enough to be a transition shade for me. I love the bright green and the super dark shiny green. So let's see what look I can come up with this one. It's a pretty dark palette for my complexion, but hopefully I can make it work still. Now that we were able to go through the collection, let me go ahead and show you guys the 4 eye looks that I created. I created 1 look with each palette and I will be back to give you guys my final thoughts. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to prime my eye and I'm using my Rare Beauty primer for this. I'm going to begin with the Grace palette and I'm going to start by using the only matte shade that palette has, and I'm using my REPHR number 1 to first kind of pat it down on the outer corner of the eye, and then I'm going to start blending it. Okay, so now that I've built a little bit of intensity, I'm going to start blending it inwards. I'm adding a little bit more of that same shade to my crease. Same number 1 brush from REPHR. And now with the same brush, I'm going to use that satin color that is on the top left corner of the palette. And I'm going to put it right up here, kind of as a transition shade. I thought it would be a little bit less glittery up there, honestly. With a clean fluffy brush, I'm using my REPHR number 15. I'm just going to make sure that things look blended. I regret putting what I thought was going to be a satin color up there because it is pretty shimmery. It looked kind of like a satin color on the pan. I'm going to use the pewter shade for the center of my eyelid. This is the darker shimmery silver. And then I'm going to use the lighter shimmery silver for the inner part of the eyelid here. Okay, so this is what I have for the top of the eye. Let me do some face makeup and I'll be right back to finish this one up. Okay, I'm back with some makeup on and I'm going to do a little bit of a winged eyeliner. I'm going to use the new Natasha Denona Macro Blade Liquid Liner. I tried this one recently and I really loved it. It's really precise and extremely pigmented. You have to let it dry before you open your eye and I didn't, and so that happened. So I'm gonna see if I can fix that. I do have hooded eyes, so it's extra hard for me to do winged eyeliner, which is why I often skip it. Okay, I think I was able to smooth that out. Okay, so for my under eyes, I'm going back with the matte gray shade. I put a black eyeliner in my waterline and I'm smudging it out with my REPHR number 3 brush. So this is the look right here without mascara or lashes. I'm going to do mascara and lashes and I'll be right back to show you the final grace look. Alright, I'm back with mascara and lashes on, and this right here is the final look with the Grace palette. Very nice and silvery, no complaints about the colors, except that I feel like every look that I can come up with this palette is going to look the exact same. I don't think that you can use this one many other ways, to be honest with you, and I don't think you'll be able to create a look that is going to be too different from the one I created. So if you're into this particular look, then definitely go for it, but don't expect to have a ton of diversity when it comes to looks with that palette. I'm back and I'm going to use the Honey palette. I'm starting with the first color on the top left and I'm going to put that color on my crease. I'm using my REPHR number 15 brush for that. So I'm kind of just swiping back and forth in the shape that I want the eyeshadow. I started on the outer corner and I'm blending it inwards. I'm going to intensify things a little bit with the bottom matte shade that the quad has. The two matte shades in this palette look exactly the same on my eye, so I'm kind of just using them interchangeably. I wanted to see if it would make a difference, but it really doesn't on me. So just again back and forth swiping, and I went back to the matte color on the top, and I'm making sure to take it all the way to the inner corner. With my REPHR number 1 brush, I grabbed the dark matte shade on the palette and I'm putting it on the inner third of my eyelid, very lightly blending it into the crease, outer corner, and blending it into the crease. Back with my number 15 brush, I'm just going to make sure my edges are blended. And in the center, I'm going to tap the gold shade with my finger. Okay, so this is the honey eye right here. Let me go ahead and put on some face makeup and I'll be right back to finish it up. Back with some makeup on, I'm going to use the matte mustardy yellow shade on the top to blend out the under eye. And I'm using the REPHR number 14 brush for this. And with the REPHR number 13, I'm going to use the darker matte shade from the outside in. Okay, so this is the look with the Honey palette. I'm going to go ahead and put on some mascara and lashes and show you the final look. This one doesn't have any inner corner highlighter, so I'm not going to go elsewhere to get one. Okay, here I am. I just went ahead and put on a little bit of mascara, and this is the look with the Honey palette. I've been using and linking the Lash Princess mascara from Essence, but I honestly only like it to film and then I immediately take it off because I really can't wear it for more than 30 minutes because it starts transferring everywhere. So I have been using it, I have been linking it, but it's not a mascara that I recommend because even though I love the way it makes my lashes look, it transfers like crazy. Okay, let's go ahead and do the army look. I'm scared because these colors all look so dark. I'm starting with the lightest matte green and I'm using the REPHR number 27 brush because this is a longer fluffy brush, so I'm hoping it'll help me diffuse this matte green to become sort of a transition color. We'll see. I am aggressively blending the edges right here and just continuing to blend. I have not added any more product or anything because I need to diffuse it enough first. Okay, now I'm going to add a little more to my outer corner here. And again, just blend, blend, blend. With the REPHR number 1, I grabbed the darker green shade and I am packing it on the outer corner and blending it into that lighter green shade I had applied previously. And I'm also bringing it inwards. Now with the tip of my number 1 brush, I'm blending the edges. I'm going to use the darker green shimmer on the outer part of the eyelid right there, and I'm using the REPHR number 28 brush, and then the inner half we're doing the lighter green using that same number 28 brush for this. I like this one because I can create these shimmer edges with it, and I'm tapping it up to the center of the eyelid. Alright, so this is my army look right here. Let me go ahead and put on some face makeup and I'll be right back and we'll finish it up. I'm back and I'm going to use that green shimmer right underneath my tear duct area too. Just swiping it from the inner corner to the center of the under eye or so. Okay, now let's do the dark matte green on the outer half of the under eye using the REPHR number 13 brush and diffusing everything with the lighter green. Okay, so again, no inner corner shade in this quad, but of course you can add one of your own. This is the look with the Army palette. Let me be right back with some mascara on. Okay, here I am just with a little bit of mascara on, and this is the Army look. I feel like I love 3 out of 4 colors in this palette. I don't love the green that I had to blend out to become a transition, which I mean I did what I could, but I do love the dark green, the dark shimmer green, and the light shimmer green. Of the palette, I would probably reach out to a different palette for a better transition shade. However, I do still overall like the look that I can come up with this palette on its own, and I think it would be even prettier if we had an inner corner shade. So this right here is the look. Let's move on to the mint palette. Okay, I'm starting the mint look with the lighter green shade and the REPHR number 27 brush, and I'm just kind of patting the color across my crease. I'm being generous with how much I'm grabbing because this is a light pastel shade, so you need to build it up. Okay, now that I have a nice wash of color across the crease, I'm grabbing the darker teal and the REPHR number 1 brush, and I'm putting it on the inner and outer corners of my eye and blending it into the first shade. I grabbed the darker shimmer shade on my REPHR number 2 and I'm putting it over the edges of the matte shade. And now with my finger in the lightest shade, I'm just tapping it right in the center. This is the top of the eye. As you can see, the light shimmery color is very fallouty. So let me go ahead and clean up, put on some face makeup, and I'll be right back and we'll finish this one up. I'm back and I also went ahead and did a little bit of eyeliner and I put on some mascara. So let's finish up the under eye. I have the lighter mint shade on my REPHR number 14 and I'm going to blend it underneath my eye. Just back and forth with my REPHR number 14. And then with the darker minty shade and my REPHR number 26, I'm going to intensify right underneath my lashes. For the inner corner, I'm going to use the light minty shade right there. A little bit of mascara on my lower lash line, and this right here is the mint look. Needless to say, I think this is my favorite. I really love the way that this one came out for sure. Let me go ahead and put on some lashes and I'll be right back. Okay, back with some lashes, and this is the final mint look right here. I absolutely love the way this one came out with the little wing and the lashes and the brightness, all of that. So yeah, let me go ahead and tell you which ones were my favorite ones and why I like them. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the eye looks, and I'm going to kind of rate the palettes in my order of preference. So my least favorite palette has to be the grays because I wish there was another matte shade in here, or that this color right here was fully matte. It has a deceivingly high amount of shimmer in it that I was not expecting, and so as a transition color, which is the way I try to use it, it was way too shimmery. There's not much of a difference between the two silver shades, and then this matte shade is my favorite shade in this palette. I don't see myself being able to create different looks with this palette because there's only one matte shade in it, one level of depth, and so for all of those reasons this is my least favorite. However, I did really like the perfectly silvery gray eye look that I was able to create with it. So if that is an eye look that you are into, if that is like your comfort zone, your preference when it comes to eye looks, then in that case this is worth considering because the colors are pigmented, they blend really nice, and this was only $10. Second from the bottom, I have the Honey palette, which honestly surprised me because it is a nice warm toned eyeshadow palette. But the reason this one is not higher up in my rankings that I'm doing is that these two shades on my skin tone look the exact same. I wish there was like a difference in the depth between the two on my skin, or just a lighter shimmer shade maybe in the palette, just something else. For me personally, this palette is not a quad, it's like a trio of shades because two of them are the same shade on my skin, so I feel like that takes a little bit away from how wonderful this little quad could have been. However, again, absolutely loved it. I really liked this bronzy shimmer shade right here, and all of the colors are very blendable, very pigmented, and again, for $10, totally worth the price. Anyways, my second most favorite was the Rebel Army palette. I absolutely loved this one. I was very surprised at how I was able to blend out the lighter green tone to kind of be a transition shade on me. I don't like to go outside of the palette that I'm reviewing to do looks when I'm reviewing a palette. I want to see exactly like what a palette is capable of, and I was able to create a really stunning look with this squad. Even though the shades are darker, I was able to blend this one out to kind of be a transition shade, and I love this super dark green shade right here that has a little bit of a cool tone to it, and I'm obsessed with the shimmers in this palette. Totally worth it. If you were thinking about it, I would definitely do it. And then last but not least, my most favorite palette was this one right over here, and the reason is that I know that minty shades, especially pastel minty shades, are very hard to do. For reference, look at my Mint Obsessions palette from Huda review. That was a disaster. I hated that palette. So for a $10 palette to give me the look that I was trying to achieve a year and a half ago with my Huda palette, I think is absolutely incredible. I love both of the shimmers in here, and both of the mattes are spectacular. They build nicely, they blend nicely. You're not gonna get a ton of depth from this eye look because it is supposed to be a light minty look, but I absolutely love the way that this one came out, and I am so impressed by the quality of these pastel shades in this palette. So if you're into minty looks, if you want to get a look like this one, I 100% recommend this palette. It is much better than the Huda Pastel Obsessions that has the mints in it. That palette is garbage. So anyways, that is my review on these squads. My most favorite ones were the green ones. My least favorite ones were these. For $10, I think that they are all worth it. But I hope that I was able to explain to you guys why I like some more than others. I really hope that you guys liked this video and that it was helpful. If so, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up before you leave. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you back in the next video. Bye!